Welcome to the PT Legends podcast, where co-host Dave Bess and myself, Scott Carpenter, share our journey and secrets of success. From our humble beginnings as personal training employees of a big box gym to struggling studio owners that have made every mistake in the book, to where we are now, the owners of a multi-seven-figure business operating multiple personal training studios internationally, and now coach and mentor to fitness professionals in 5 countries and counting. This is our story, and these are our secrets. Subscribe to our podcast, learn, take action, and build your own fitness empire. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the PT Legends podcast. I am Scott.
Big Dave clocking in.
Clocking in once again. We have an amazing special guest on. We've got Matt Chenard with Greater Purpose Health and Fitness. Matt owns a gym in Canada. I can't even give you the description of where. Canada is just this one giant place to me. But he's been running that for quite a while. He's very successful, and he's one of our original PT Legends clients. So he was one of our case studies that started with us when we had, just gotten this thing off the ground. So it's awesome to have him on and to share a little bit about his journey and his story. Matt, welcome.
Thanks, Dave and Scott. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. And I've been catching a lot of your stuff on social media lately. I love it because you've got an online project going. And yeah. How long have you been an owner now?
An owner. I think this is our 10th year of being a brick and mortar facility owner. And then
so about
going
the same
to the
as,
virtual.
About the same as us. We're coming up on 10, I think in August or something like that.
Yep.
And you ended up getting slammed a little bit harder in COVID than most, right?
Yeah. We were closed completely. Like we couldn't run anything in our gym for 7 months. So couldn't even use our 10,000 square foot facility. And then even after that, during the 24-month period or whatever it was, somewhere around there, we couldn't run at full capacity either. So 2 years of running a completely different business, opening, closing I think it was 4 or 5 times.
God, that's nuts. And I mean, we're in Arizona, so Dave and I were a little bit spoiled with it. But I can't imagine. That's rough, man. That's rough.
Yeah.
And so you had to pivot quite a bit. And I think that's kind of like, it was about maybe almost not quite a year ago, but that's when you started doing stuff with us, I believe, is when you had to make a big pivot, right?
Yeah.
And
go ahead, sir.
I was going to say the cool thing is like it wasn't just you. You brought your GM into it, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
You brought him in right away, and then I remember it because I still have like that little screenshot of you guys on like a call with us. And in your first month, you guys sold over 30K. If you remember those first 4 weeks, which was amazing.
Yep.
Which was amazing. So yeah, what kind of caused you to have to pivot on that? And what was it like kind of doing that with Tom as well?
Yeah. So, it actually starts way before COVID. I put something on my whiteboard. I'm a big whiteboard fan. Put my ideas, capture them somewhere, tell everyone about my ideas, and they kind of look at me like I'm crazy. But 4 years ago, I said there needs to be like this holistic kind of mindset fitness combination where everything's combined into one. So it was put on my whiteboard back in my head. And then we went through a rebrand this past year. But then when I saw what you had, because I was friends with you, Scott, I saw that you were doing something that looked pretty similar to what was living in my head. And we had just gone through a rebrand, creating an umbrella company to kind of more encompass what we're about, the holistic part, the mindset, fitness, and nutrition as well. And being open and closed so many times, we lost a lot of our membership, right? So if you can't train inside the facility, you don't expect our members to stay over a 2-year period, not being able to do what they signed up for, right? No fault of their own. So I knew we had to do something different. And I think this was a good opportunity. And I kind of nudged in that direction and invested, even if I didn't know if it was going to work or not. It's kind of like a Hail Mary shot. And we just invested in it. Tom came in with me. He ran it. We've been attending the training calls, and first month we did 32,000. And I don't just think, I know if we hadn't done the program, we would not be a gym anymore. 100%. Right? We would have to close down. I couldn't afford it.
That's amazing to hear. Like, it makes you like, what, it brings tears in my eyes, but it's also like hard to hear at the same time because how bad it was. And that's a lot of pain and uncertainty to go through as a gym owner. That's not an easy thing. That's not an easy thing.
No, and we're still going through it currently, right? It's just a totally different environment in Canada. Certain topics you can't really talk openly about. And if you do, then people can go away from your business. If you don't, people can also go away from your business. So you don't want to be caught in this position, but you end up being caught in that position. We just wanted to help people get healthy and fit. And we had to make some tough decisions that we knew was going to affect us. And yeah, you're right. It is very, very challenging as a gym owner, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything.
It is. And that's, and I mean, our gym owners listening they're all gym owners. And so they can feel it, whether it was COVID that put you in that situation, or maybe it was a period where you just didn't know if you couldn't make the bills or things were heading in a bad spot and you've got a mortgage or rent and you've got a car payment and you've got a family. That's really tough. That's really tough. And being an entrepreneur in the fitness business is not for the thin-skinned. And I got to commend you for what you went through, because holy cow, you got the worst of it almost out of everybody. Being where you're at in your specific spot in Canada, it was really, really rough.
Yeah, really, really rough, because you're working at a expense. Your expenses are meeting what you had started at prior to the pandemic. I don't think people realize that, right? You can't just cut all these expenses that get you to this gym, right? We went from 250-ish members down to 99 over the 2-year period. So we had to do some drastic changes and had to change a model of our gym, 4 or 5 times over. And that's hugely draining. And every single day, just committing to taking some sort of action in a positive direction. That's all we could literally do. And then just try to forget about the rest.
Oh, you did an amazing job pulling through that. That's amazing. Because to complicate it even more, your wife lost her job too with all this.
Yep.
So that adds even more onto the plate, cutting off that kind of income. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. But the cool thing is I think Tom handled most of the sales for the gym stuff, right? And you kind of handled on more of your virtual program. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. Tom's an amazing guy, amazing teammate. I was like, let's bring him into this. And prior to this, we had no sales experience really, right? And let alone these higher ticket packages that we're selling, or these transformation coaching programs. So it was really intimidating to us, but also exciting. And he just rocked it. And just seeing the momentum and the mindset shift, right? We talk about with our clients, we're going to help you change your mindset so you can change your life. Well, it's the same thing as a business owner, right? The principles are all the same, whether it's fitness, it's relational, it's in your business. It doesn't matter. Once you understand these concepts, these principles, you just got to commit to doing the work and changing that belief system.
Yeah. Well, Dave, what kind of changes have you seen with everybody? Because I mean, you're the ones taking these guys through the whole thing, this whole process.
Sometimes I forget just how lucky we are, Scott, that we were based out of Phoenix, Arizona, to where like we were shut down for 3 weeks. And those 3 weeks, man, like, I don't know how we got through it. Like I remember that that constant state of like, are we going to survive? And just hearing Matt's story in just 24 months to where we're down for maybe 1 month, like multiply that times 24.
Technically, we did find a bit of a loophole, which was still gray area, depending on who you talk to, that allowed us to kind of open up quietly.
Well, I don't think we can say that live on a podcast, so we really didn't shut
it out there now.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the transformation, and we go back to, I talk about just the dynamics of our calls all the time. And Matt and Tom, from an action taking angle, like these guys have committed to showing up to those calls every single day I bet you guys have only missed a handful of calls. In the way that because Matt has been thinking about doing this, higher ticket program, he said, for 4 years, but helping him find his voice. Like today he was on the call and we were battling some objection handling, just the way that he talks. Like Matt's a completely different person than he was a year ago from going through just the group collaboration calls. Like, and it was powerful watching that journey of coming in, hey, this is my program compared to what he's pitching now. Matt, like, what do you think of your journey? Like, just from joining the calls, like, talk about finding your voice to a higher ticket program.
Yeah. Well, in 2021, I made a commitment to doing uncomfortable things, right? Living a year of discomfort, and whether that's ice baths, whether that's doing uncomfortable workouts, but also getting on those calls is very uncomfortable, right? But I know, it's just like I mentioned a few minutes ago, that's the principle, right? Growth comes from action. Doing something you know is uncomfortable and committing to it, being disciplined in it. And just, you don't really know the outcome, but all you can control is the action. So showing up to the calls, and then, yeah, like you said, Dave, I feel way more confident. And as I get more confidence, that's when I realize I know now that I need to step it up and try different things and try different wording, try different, whatever it might be, try a different style, try looking at the camera like Dave's really good at, all these different things. And it's been really cool to see the fundamentals and start to get virtuosity in all these different things inside the PT Legends program.
Yeah, I have to say, I grew a lot from the group calls, especially in the early days. Because again, we did this for Underground Fitness for our gyms. And then when we had others be like, hey, can you teach us how? And we brought them into our calls. And yeah, and then when you guys all came in, right? Like all the original ones and then the case studies, and it grew from there. This thing got so much better, so much faster because of all of you guys on the calls. Mm-hmm. Because you'll word something some way. Mm-hmm. And then somebody else is like, that's genius. I'm taking that sentence. I'm taking that little piece. I'm taking that angle, and I'm going to make that part of my thing. And it was because of all of you that it kind of leveled up so quick. I mean, it wouldn't have done it if it was just our thing. Like, it became something a little bit bigger than I think we all had intended to be. Yeah. And it is because you had the dedication to like come on those calls and stay on those calls. And that's something that's lost on a lot of people. Is like, we'll read a book once and like, okay, well, that's good. But in order to make any progress, like you've got to just put in the reps. You've got to put in the reps. I mean, that's it. That's everything. Yep. Like I know you were saying, whether it's fitness, whether it's in business, whether it's in learning a foreign language, whatever it is, you have to put in the reps.
One of my favorite moments, like turning moments, I think, honestly, Matt, is when we got Jaleesa as part of it too.
Yeah.
And like her transitioning from her job to leading her movement. Like I remember it like it was yesterday. Like you and I, for the most part, we did a lot of our mentoring calls. She wasn't a part of it. Like looking back at it, she probably didn't trust us a ton. But when she bought in, how much more fun is it going on this journey, knowing that she's building her own movement too? Like I think that's
a lot more fun.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have heard of the 6 Working Geniuses quiz. Basically, there's 6 Working Geniuses personality test. And in our gym, Jaleesa is the only galvanizer, which means once she gets excited about something, it works, right? But she has to believe in it. And yeah, she probably didn't trust it at first. It's like, we're investing this money in this, and I don't know if it's going to work. And we're in the middle of a pandemic. Okay, well, maybe this is another crazy idea for Matt. But like you said, Dave, that mindset started to shift, and you could see her seeing how people's lives were changing. And that got her more confidence, because once she sees she can change someone's life, then she can sell the program. She can help people with the program. Just has to believe in it. So once she was on board, when Jaleesa is on board with anything, it works every time.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I wish my wife wanted to create her own movement. I really do, because she just kill it, just absolutely kill it. But that's awesome that she's doing that. I remember that. I remember when she first sold her first one.
Yep.
I remember that because Dave, you told me about it first, and then I saw it pop up in our group with the message. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. And so
she was ecstatic.
You put the high ticket program into your brick and mortar gym.
Yep.
And then you also run like your separate, virtual movement. And then your wife, Jaleesa, also runs her separate movement. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
And yeah, so my movement is for men. It's the True Alpha program where I'm focusing on mindset, purpose, leadership, spiritual health, fitness, physical. It's this holistic idea, but helping men become true leaders, right? Not the stuff you think is like this overbearing or aggressive idea of what an alpha is. It's like, no, it's a confident person that has this controlled strength, right? Controlled strength, right? You can just tell someone who's confident in who they are. They don't need to front. They don't need to impress, right? You're just something about them that you want to attach yourself to. Like you want to be the average of 5. So that's what I'm creating with my virtual movement. And it's this whole idea of changing the vocabulary from habits and routines to deposits, right? I think people are familiar with the idea of making deposits financially for their future, investing in these things. But why don't we think about it the same for different areas of life, relationships, fitness, right? I can't expect to get my wife, if we're talking about the men's movement, becoming a better husband. I can't expect her to get her one big present a year and her to feel loved. No, I got to invest in her every single day in ways that she feels loved based on the 5 love languages as an example. And I have to invest in my physical fitness consistently in order to see this future that I want to see. And it's the same thing with my business. I'm going to invest in things now that might not make sense now so that I can have a different future and have that longer outlook on life. And then she's building the same thing, and hers is more in the relationship with food aspect. So she went through an eating disorder, exercise addiction right at the start of her marriage. So which actually was the start of my idea of my program, right? This whole purpose idea, but also the start of hers, unbeknownst to us, her program, right? Helping ladies develop this relationship with food, and guys. Like guys struggle with it too. And this body image thing and just being healthy and functional and fit.
That's amazing. I love that metaphor of the deposits. I love that because I don't think we realize that these things stack over time.
Yep.
They stack over time. And thinking of it in that way, that's really powerful actually. It encourages you to take those actions.
Exactly, right? You're thinking, well, wealth, you can have wealth financially, physically, all these different ways, but you have to invest in it. And you have to invest in it before it's even a thing. I think there's 2 different categories in life in terms of time. Or tasks. There's the urgent things and there's important things. And things become urgent because people failed to invest in them when they were important. So what I mean by that is someone's health. There's a reason we have so much chronic disease in the world. It's because people 20 years prior never invested in the important category of their fitness with these deposits. So now they're left getting invasive surgeries, getting all these medicines for this chronic condition, and they're trying to fight it in an acute way. Well, it's not going to work. You can't change the laws of the universe in this way, right? Just understand the principles and then change the vocabulary so it makes it fun, I guess.
That's great. I love it. And there's nothing more. I know you share it, like financially doing a high ticket coaching program is great, and it makes a massive difference, but also the level of impact. What have you seen with the difference in the level of impact versus your normal person who you had the same intentions with, but they just did normal PT, normal group. What have you kind of seen as a difference?
Yeah, I guess when someone's investing into something that's a little bit more money, they're going to be invested. So that's one thing. But also the coach is not that we don't care about every single one of our members, but we know there's a lot more on the line. Like, I need to get you to this finish line. I need to get you this place. I'm going to be there when you're struggling because I know you're investing in me, you're trusting in me, and I want to help you get over that finish line. So we've seen a lot of change, a lot of progress in just the way people view their health and fitness, and also how it's changed their belief system around money too. Instead of making money the biggest priority, should it not be that our health is? Because what's the use of having all these things if you can't enjoy them and you're not happy, right? So it's about switching that whole mindset for people to see this is what you should be investing in first is, I think, your relationships and your fitness.
That's my second aha moment, Matt, that you gave me already today. Is because we talk about how, when you as a client, when they spend that money, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, you have their attention. They're going to take it seriously. But what you said was that it also works the other way around. When we're charging them, we have this massive obligation to make it worth that as a coach, as a mentor. And that is something that is so true, but I hadn't really recognized that until you said that. We do put forth that effort. We do level up. We do bring our A game. We do give it our all to get that person results because we're obligated to do that. And wow, that's actually really powerful, because think about that, Dave. That's how it was with PT Legends, right? Matt shut down dealing with all this crap, gave us money. And again, like, I knew you because we were in the same mastermind program, right? And I knew you, and like, there's no way I can accept that money and not show you results. Like, Dave and I have a massive obligation to anybody that signs up. Like, we'll do everything necessary to make this successful. And I didn't even realize it. It works that way too. Because that is a big thing. Like,
I think it's the biggest thing, right? Like, for years, as a gym owner, the people that are paying, $100 to $500 a month, like, they weren't putting in the work, right? So they weren't changing. So at the end of the day, I became just so frustrated, and I had fallen out of love with it. And for a lot of your big groups out there, they're only charging $100 and $200, the big franchises, like, I guarantee that coach that is leading a group of 30 people, like, they get frustrated. Like, you don't know it at the time, but looking back, it's like, people are investing this much. And then I don't care who you are. You can't say, I'm going to go to war with you. Whereas when you change your model and people are spending $12, $15, $2,000 a month, that gets you out of bed. Like, we knew, like, working with every single PT Legends gym that we've worked with, and especially in the pandemic, like, we had to produce. But I love that pressure on me. And Matt, any man that goes through your program, guarantee you're living your life with purpose. But the only way that you're going to do that is if they're investing that type of money, because otherwise you're going to go through the motions.
Yep. Yeah. I'm in there. I'm commenting. I'm making sure I'm coaching to the best of my abilities, and I'm on fire. And I do that with the same thing. If I don't coach as much group classes I did before, but I do the same thing with my members, but it's a different, right? It's different. Yeah. That they're not like, because whether we're talking about it as a business owner, I was in a bad financial spot because of all these shutdowns, or whether we're talking about a member who is 200 pounds overweight and is way off with their goal and they need to change their life, right? We're both in bad spots. So that's the thing with, if you can understand that as a fitness coach, you can do the same thing as a business owner. It's the same principles again and again. You just got to commit to the action, to deposits, and doing the work and helping people change their mindset to get through those times of struggle and to work towards the unseen, right? That's the hardest part. And when you start to see the evidence and the proof from other people, right? And that's what I saw from you guys. I saw this evidence and proof because I needed that. I'm telling my wife we're investing this much money into the program, there needs to be some sort of evidence, and there needs to be some sort of trust.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you took the jump, because it's anytime you do it, like, the scary thing is what if I make a wrong decision? What if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to overcome. And you got to have a lot of strength in your situation to do that when things aren't going so well, but there's only one way you're going to get out of a hole. It's you got to climb your way out, or, you need somebody to give you a helping hand while you do it. So I definitely commend you for having the guts to do something like that.
No, I appreciate that. And that's kind of the perspective shift I had over the past 2 years, is instead of thinking about myself as a business owner, thinking about myself as a business steward, right? Like, I'm just trying to take care of this the best I can, trying to make the best decision I can. And if at the end of the day, it doesn't work, at least I know who I am, right? My identity is not greater purpose, health, and fitness. I know who I am without this, which makes it that much easier to make decisions like that and to actually pour my whole self into it. Because I'm not trying to, like I said, with my True Alpha program, I'm not trying to impress anyone. I'm trying to create impact and help people grow. I still go through the struggles of it being about anything other than impact. But I think once people change that mindset, they start to seek out programs like this that can help them steward their business into a legacy program.
It's amazing. Matt, you're such a deep thinker. Like, you always get me thinking on multiple levels. I love it.
I love deep thinking, so I'm happy to chat anytime.
I love it. I catch your videos time to time too, and I've heard you talk about that, and it just rings true, right? And I've adopted that similar mindset too. I've kind of come to that too. It's just like, it's removing the ego from the business is such a big thing, and like you are a steward over the business, which is a combination of resources and people, right? And looking at it like you are responsible for seeing these people succeed, whether they're your clients or your employees. And at the end of the result, your business, you get to take care of your family and people in your community, but like, be a steward of these resources. And, that's something that the three of us all have in common. It's like we're not interested in making a quick buck or doing it unethically or this or that. Like, we're just genuine people trying to do good. And if you just focus on that, creating value for other people, in general, the financial aspect will come. It will.
Yeah, 100%. And that's on the flywheel we've created for our gym, is purpose. And I think that's a difficult thing for people to understand. But if you're just pursuing this monetary thing, just trying to make X amount of money without the impact being there, then you start to lose your drive. You start to lose, what am I doing this for? You need to have that impact, and that impact, it's like a deposit. I think of impact is depositing into your legacy. Like, your daily impacts will eventually leave the legacy you want to leave. So you invest in your people every single day. You try to be the best you can for them. You try to be the best you can for your business as a leader, and then also a steward of coaching people as well. And to just focus one day at a time, and then jump onto things like this that you see being a big movement. And the necessary thing for people to do is you can't just look at one aspect of someone's life. There has to be purpose. There has to be a spiritual aspect, mental aspect, physical, relational, and that connection too.
Awesome. Very well said, man. Giving a lot of people a lot of lessons on this one. So I really appreciate you having you coming on and spending your time. What's I guess if you had to sum it up, like what would be one good piece of advice that you give out to any sort of an owner out there?
I think the industry is shifting. Well, I shouldn't say the industry is shifting, right? The industry is shifting out of necessity, because this is how we are made, right? You can't just focus on one aspect of a person. So I'm talking about holistic health and fitness. You can't just work out a lot and expect to be healthy and fit and live a long life. You can't just expect to eat really well and live a long life. You can't just expect to have an amazing relationship and for your body to follow suit. You have to see this transition. And so I would say reach out to you guys, because I have, you can hear me, like I have these deep thoughts, but without your system, sometimes I have a hard time bringing these thoughts into something that's tangible, right? And you did that for me. So I appreciate that from you guys.
Well, it's been our pleasure to get the chance to work with you. So I'm glad we connected on it, and It's just amazing. So Matt, want to thank you for coming on. How can they reach you? If any gym owners have questions about some of the stuff you've been talking about, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is at Matt, 2 T's, Chenard, Chenard. I am on YouTube. I have funny ice bath videos on there. You don't have to watch me, but they're up there if you want to. Matt Chenard, same thing.
That's awesome, Matt. Thank you so much. And thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week on the PT Legends podcast. Dave and myself, Scott, would love to thank you for tuning in and listening to the PT Legends podcast. You can get direct access to us by joining our free Facebook group. Go to www.facebook.com/groups/7-figure personal trainer. That's 7-figure personal trainer with the number 7. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can keep on learning and keep on living. Finally, if you picked up any tips whatsoever in this episode that you found helpful, be sure to leave us a review and tell us what you like best about it. Can't wait to see you on the next episode.